Hey everybody, I'm Nick from Ministry Boost. I'm here talking with Nina Schmidgall. Welcome, Nina.
Hi, good to see you.
So, Nina, tell us a little bit about yourself and your church before we jump in and talk about the three boosts.
Yeah, so I am in Washington, D.C. at National Community Church, and we are one church. We have 7 locations across the D.C. metro area, and most of our locations are in portable, or we actually call them marketplace spaces. We're intentional to be where the people are. So, yeah, 7 locations. I oversee our family ministry from birth to graduation in our parenting ministry, and have done that for some while now. So yeah, National Community Church in Washington, D.C.
Awesome, not too far from me. Now, we want to talk about the three boosts that you've experienced, or the 3 biggest ideas that you've had when it comes to integrating and balancing like work and ministry life with your family life, which is always tough. So what are the 3 biggest ideas, the 3 biggest boosts that you have experienced there?
No, that's great. So, I oversee our family programs, but I'm also married to, my husband is in ministry as well. He's our executive pastor, and I'm a mom to 3 kids. I have 3 elementary age kiddos. And so my entire time serving in ministry, I've been in those roles. And so for sure, there are a lot of things that, make me figure out how do I pull between my leadership hats and roles, and then our, caring for and leading in our home and our family. So yeah, free boosts a few boosts that have helped me in those areas is, one, I just have learned to think in seasons, to not think about, there's a lot of talk about striving for balance and how do you balance all. And the reality is, in my world, I've been more successful when I think in seasons. There are seasons that are seasons of no, right? Where, on the family front, we're just coming out of one of those seasons right now in the summer, because our kids are in school through the week and we work through the weekend at the church. When it gets to summertime, we put family at the front, and we do a lot of playing and a lot of vacation and a lot of pool time. So on the ministry side, that's a season of no. I say no to any extras. I don't take on any extra leadership opportunities. But then in other ways, there are times on the ministry side that it's a season of more, that I need to give a little bit more on the ministry side. And those are times that I outsource. I outsource things like, kid playtime. I'll, balance with friends, some extra fun activities, or I'll outsource things like house cleaning or other things. So I think thinking in seasons is a lot more, can be a lot more helpful and help you to succeed, rather than trying to think of how do I balance it all. It's not going to be fair all the time in every season. So that's been one thing that's really, really helped. And just remembering that you are the pace setter for those that you lead. That's in the home and in the ministry. You set the pace. And so, I think preparing for that and planning for that will really kind of help, and leaning into both your family and to your team to let them know when are going to be the seasons of each direction. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would say, find a way to invite your family into the ministry that you do. One of my previous work world was I worked for Congress, and it didn't work the same way there, right? If I was pushing in on the work side, family side was on hold. One of the biggest benefits about ministry, right? It pulls a lot more on your personal life than maybe other work worlds, but also there is the benefit to invite your family in. And so I look for ways to invite my family into what I'm doing. We really want to set a culture of celebrating ministry, that ministry is something that adds to our family, not something that takes from it. And there's a lot of different ways that we do that. But we try to make Sundays really fun, and a lot of different ways, fun treats and snacks and fun friend time. And we have a culture on our staff of really celebrating kids, and we have staff getaways that include kids, so they have a culture of relationship. And now that my daughter's getting a little older, she's in middle school now, I look for ways to involve her in, she actually didn't start school today. My other kids did. And so we found a way for her to actually be involved. And she was teaching some of our leaders some great things about what it's like to be on her side of the game. So celebrate ministry, invite your kids in. And then the last one I would say is to verbalize, don't internalize. That is language we use around our staff all the time, but particularly when it comes to finding out a way to kind of thrive on both the home front and the ministry front. I think that means being open and communicating openly and honestly, both at home with your kids and with your spouse, to really communicate your hopes, your dreams, your needs in a season, to pre-plan and pre-communicate expectations when you're going into a certain season, to be communicating what that's going to look like. And then in the same end, to be verbalizing on the work side, right? If things are starting to push a little bit on the home front, those are the times to speak kind of open and honestly about, hey, in this season, if I could be there at school pickup, that would be really great. Or, man, I need to limit some of my night commitments in this season. And so I think sometimes we can let those things kind of bubble inside of us and build in frustration, or we try to self-solve. So I think anytime that they have a culture of verbalizing, that can really be helpful. And I think those things would help you really boost both your ministry and your home life.
That's awesome, Nina. Thank you so much. I know I've told you that I've stolen your seasons idea. In fact, this summer was interesting for us because I felt like it's normally one like you're talking about, where it leans heavier on family, and just for other reasons because we moved, it didn't, and it felt weird. It was like, wait a minute, that season was supposed to be about this. It really wasn't. But I've loved that because every week doesn't balance the same.
No, every day doesn't balance. Every week kind of doesn't balance. And there are times when the family is going to give a little bit more, and but then you need to take a look. So it just helps me to zoom out and take a bigger look at seasons than to think it's going to always kind of equal out. So, I think letting your priorities lead too. We do a lot of pre-planning, which is really, really helpful. You want to dictate the seasons. You don't want them to dictate you. So we are very intentional going into new seasons, definitely every year, hopefully every month. And then anytime there's kind of a new, like beginning of summer, end of summer, those things, we have another conversation about how do we want this season to go, and how are we going to prioritize in it? Otherwise, hey, the pressures, the things, around those seasons will get a hold of you instead of you kind of dictating the way they're going to look. So that takes some front work, and it doesn't always work out the way that you're planned, right? Sometimes that happened to us this summer. We had a plan that it was all going to be all about the kids, and there was a project that needed a little bit of time in July that we had to kind of shuffle. And so you do that and you adjust. But thinking in seasons, I just don't feel disappointed, and their family doesn't feel disappointed. So I hope that helps.
Oh, it does help. I think that's the part that has helped me when I've applied what I've learned from you is you just put less guilt on yourself. You know what I mean? Because the expectation is different. If I'm looking zoomed out, it really helps to me not feel like I'm failing every week or any day that goes bad or whatever. So that's really helpful.
And so much about marriage and parenting is about managing expectations, right? And so a lot of doing some of those intentional things is about helping your kids manage their expectations, helping you manage expectations in marriage. It's easier to manage expectations on the front end than to be dealing with disappointment or discouragement on the back end. And so that doesn't mean those seasons don't ever come, but those things have helped us.
Yep. Well, thank you for sharing those 3 boosts with us. That was really helpful.
Good. You're welcome.